Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Manifest the Rest with me, Svetlana. So, I have something fun to share. I got a new camera, like a webcam. So, I'm going to be filming these podcasts on top of just recording the audio. So, pretty fun. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just want to play around with new ways of sharing this content. And I'm also sharing it with you guys because, well, if you want to watch me talk, you can do that now. But also because this is something new and kind of scary and uncomfortable. Like I'm watching myself on camera right now and it's weird. And it's kind of throwing me off because I'm used to just looking at my notes and looking at my audio recording. That was actually something new when I first started. Now this is going to be something new. And I also can't pause. So when I record these podcasts, I do pause because yes, I have my notes, but I'm not reading off a script. So sometimes I start rambling. Sometimes I have new ideas, new things popping into my head, and maybe they don't make sense. So I'm going to rewind. I'm going to edit that out. Or maybe I want to pause and make sure I collect my thoughts and know that I'm staying on track. Like, where am I going next? Because I don't want to just be spilling out my brain here and all my thoughts, because then we could be here for hours and nothing will make sense. But this is going to be something new and it's going to teach me to maybe be more concise, maybe actually become an even better speaker. I love speaking, but I can definitely improve. So, this is something I'm sharing because I always tell you guys to try something new. You're never going to get better if you don't try it. You have to face your fears. You have to overcome those doubts and prove to yourself, you know what, I did it. And if it doesn't work out, if I end up hating these videos, then I'll stop. But at least I try it. At least I can say, oh, I did it. It didn't turn out so well. My podcasts were a mess and the video just looked weird and no one liked it. Or it could turn out great. And I end up talking a lot better and I end up getting my thoughts out more concisely. And maybe people love watching me talk because I do a lot of hand gestures. I actually tell you guys sometimes when I do these hand gestures, like, I wish you could see me. And now you can. So maybe I'll regret that, but who knows? Mm. I also can't pause when I drink my coffee. So. Okay, so that's an update. And again, I always practice what I preach. I'm not just going to tell you, hey, get over your fears, face them. I'm over here doing the same thing every single day. I face my fears. So you can too. And I'm going to always share if things work, if they don't, and if they're awkward, if they're weird, or whatever it may be. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to share. Another thing is I was doing some reflecting, as one does in the mindset space all the time. And something that I realized is I need to celebrate myself a little more. And you guys need to make sure that you reflect on your successes because I've been in my head a little bit, as we do as humans. It's completely normal and fine. But I had to catch myself because we don't want to spiral in that doubt and thinking, oh, I wish I was further ahead than where I am. That's just because, and this is what I was reflecting on. The reason that I have those thoughts and sometimes have those doubts is because I'm a high achiever. So I continue to raise the bar. As soon as I achieve some success, I like overcome something, I raise the bar. And I just keep raising it. And I know you guys are high achievers too. That's why you're listening to this. And this is such a great quality to have, being a high achiever, because you're going to continue to succeed and overcome adversity and overcome other challenges. And then you're just going to keep getting better and better. The problem is we don't always reflect and look back at the success because we keep raising that bar. So we never actually reach it. So we don't have anything really to celebrate. So we have to make sure that we look back on the last couple weeks, months, years, and notice the changes. And I'm not talking about every single tiny thing, right? Like, oh, I journaled today, like claps, or like, oh, I meditated for the last 2 days, like high five, I deserve a reward. No, I'm not talking about that. Like, yeah, maybe say, okay, good job. But we're not talking participation trophies. I'm so not into participation trophies. I am talking about the long term. Look back on the last month, and if you noticed, wow, I meditated like 3 times every single week. I meditated 80% of the time in the last like 3 months. That's awesome. That's the kind of reflection that I'm talking about. So for me personally, there was something that I noticed many years ago when I would go out or I'd go on a vacation, like for the weekend, right? Go away for the weekend. I struggled so hard with getting back into it the next day, the next week. It would take me days to get back to my routine. So Monday, Tuesday, maybe like half of Wednesday, I was like a couch potato. And not actually because I had work, but the energy wasn't there. My mindset was so not there. My workouts, my healthy eating, nothing was there. right? I was just kind of like, meh. And I didn't know what to do. I noticed this habit a lot, but I would just keep doing it. And this was whether I went out drinking or whether I just went away for the vacation. Like if I was like out of my regular daily routine, I struggled to get back into things. And lately, like I don't even know for how long now, maybe the last like year or so, I bounce back right away. Come Monday, like 11 a.m., I'm back. I go for a walk, I exercise, I do my tapping, I do this, I do that, I record my podcast, anything that I am set my mind to do, I do it. And that's because I've upgraded my mindset. That's because I noticed that pattern and I decided to do something about it. I started embodying my future self. My highest self, she gets right back into it. She goes on vacation and then come Monday, she's back to work. And I am so proud of that because that wasn't something that just kind of came instantly. I had to notice that pattern. I had to see that habit and break it. I had to figure out, okay, how can I change? And it started with something small. Maybe I went for a walk rather than just laying on the couch after work. Right? It doesn't have to be major changes. So the reason that I share this is because it goes right into the topic that I want to share on the podcast today, which is awareness isn't enough. We got to take the damn action. Okay. Realizing something is great because most of society lacks self-awareness. I'm sure we all know that. But realizing something is just the first step. It's not going to change you. It's the first invitation to change. It is the catalyst for change because obviously, if you don't know something, you can't change it. You can't change what you're unaware of. So, high five on the awareness. Okay. I'm celebrating that for sure. But what you do next is the most important part. What you do next is where your power is. Because again, once you're aware of it, you can't unsee it. So once you're aware of it, all you're doing is you're just allowing yourself to repeat it, right? You're consciously self-sabotaging now. So I need you to not only catch yourself in patterns, identify those limiting beliefs, realize you're operating on autopilot, but then I need you to decide, I'm going to change this. I'm not just going to stay aware of it. Because back to my example, I noticed this habit. I noticed that every time I went away, I would waste half the week. And I feel like I would make progress towards many things, right? My career, my a healthy body, this and that, my energy, but then I'd go back. So I was never actually progressing. I'd progress and then back, like 10 steps forward, 10 step or 5, 10 steps back. Okay. So you catch it. Great. Great awareness. And maybe let me give you a couple other examples. Maybe you notice that you always talk yourself out of opportunities because you're not ready, right? Oh, I need to prepare more. This is too good to be true. I can't do this right now. So you talk yourself out. Maybe you realize that you have a really scarce mindset around money or you're really anxious around money because your parents always said things like money doesn't grow on trees and things like that. That's a limiting belief. Maybe you keep manifesting flaky friendships or attracting emotionally unavailable men. And you realize it's because you've built walls up from a previous betrayal. Okay, amazing. Again, identifying that is not easy. It is the first crucial step. Again, you can't change what you're unaware of. But then a lot of people just stop. People catch that and they think that's enough. Oh my God, I noticed that. Oh, great, go me. What are you going to do about it? Right? This is where people get stuck. And again, awareness without action is just a loop of realization and being stuck. It is conscious self-sabotage. I really like that phrase now. Conscious self-sabotage. I've been doing that a lot, consciously self-sabotaging, because I've also been identifying a lot of blocks for myself, especially in this new journey that I'm on with my business. I even keep calling it new. It's not new anymore. I've been doing this. I've been recording this podcast for over a year now, like a year and a half, I think. So I have to stop saying I'm new and oh, I don't know enough. I'm just starting. No, I'm not just starting. Now I got to figure out what's the next step. How do I keep growing this podcast? How do I keep growing my business? I'm consciously self-sabotaging by digging into my mind thinking, "Ooh, what's another block? I have a fear of success." Right? That's like an honest limiting belief of mine or a fear of mine. They're all honestly in the same category. Like fears, limiting beliefs, doubts, all of that. Blocks. But I kept like digging, like, okay, why am I afraid of success? Why? And then I would find more reasons why, like, oh, and this would happen. This might happen. I'm afraid this might happen. Again, subconsciously, I'm afraid of those things. That's not helping me do anything when I'm like laughing about this because I was noticing this the other week. Like, keep digging and finding more blocks is not helping me overcome that big block. I have to take an action. And I was doing things, right? I am giving myself credit. I was tapping on certain fears, and I'm going to continue doing that and journaling and meditating and visualizing. I'm doing those things. But then I'd get stuck at a certain point, and then I realized I'm just not taking enough action. And again, this is not about hustling and grinding and sacrificing. It's not about doing more, but it's about taking a different action, responding differently, right? It doesn't mean you have to burn everything down in whatever area you've identified this. For example, going back to my original example, I noticed that habit every time I went on vacation or anytime I went out drinking or just went out, I would waste away half the week. That didn't mean that I had to just cut out drinking, cut out going out, cut out any vacations. I have to stick to a routine every single day for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I'll never progress. That's not a correct response. That's not going to help me. That's going to actually burn me out. And that's taking that hustle, discipline, sacrifice approach, which we're anti over here in this space. So I just had to realize, okay, I need to respond differently. That's why I made a small shift. Small shifts is all you need to do to align with that new awareness, to just break away from that cycle, right? We don't want to stay in that cycle with this new vocabulary. Like, oh, okay, this isn't me being lazy. Now this is me because I have a pattern. Now it's a subconscious programming I have. Good job with the new vocabulary. Now you're just putting in a different word. That's not helping anything. And I'm, again, guys, I'm talking from my own experience. I'm not just calling you out. I'm calling myself out. All right, I did call myself out already. So with that habit where I would waste away half the week, I just started taking a small shift. So Monday morning, I would go on a walk because I know that moving my body, and I love my hot girl walks. I think if you know me, you know I love, love, love walking. That's all I do. I started going on a walk. I would move my body. I would get my mind out of my like head. I would stop overthinking all of these thoughts and I'd go move my body and I would feel better. I'd call a friend, right? Get my mind off things and just have a fun conversation. Listen to a podcast. Great. Maybe I'd even go for a full like 1 hour hot yoga class or a HIIT class, whatever you're into. That I noticed would help me. So then I started doing that every time I went away. I'd start Monday or go on a vacation or just have a chill weekend. I would start Monday with a little exercise, a little movement. And then I started incorporating more and more and more things. And that is what started actually changing. And again, the question that always helps me is what would my future self do? Right? My highest self, that version of me, wouldn't just sit here and mope for 2 days. No, she'd get after it. So that's what I did. I embodied that future self with small shifts. I feel like a lot of times people think they have to go from 0 to 100. No, we just go from 0 to 5, then to 10, then to 20, then 50, and then you're at 100. Then you're at your highest self. All right, so a couple more examples here. Maybe you have a fear of rejection. I mean, who doesn't? But rather than continuously saying no to every single event, saying no to all of these dates, thinking, I don't like how I look today. I'm gonna say no, right? Because you want to be perfect. You want to feel good. Why don't you just go? Go on the date, see if it works. Go to a networking event and see if you have a good time. See if you meet anyone cool because you never know. But if you continue to wait for that perfect moment, I'm kind of going into a different fear, right? Fear of like not being ready. But if you are afraid of rejection, go ask somebody out on a date and go ask for the raise because you are never going to know unless you try. Take that small step. The worst that's going to happen, I did a reel about this recently, right? If your best friend came up to you and said, hey, I want to like ask this person on a date, but I'm scared that they'll say no. Or, oh, I want to go ask for a promotion, but I'm afraid that they're not going to give it to me. Your eyes would probably roll to the back of your head. You'd say, just do it. Just do it. The worst that's going to happen is yes, they say no. And I realize that's scary. I do. But do you want to just stay here and wonder? Stay here with the same job, same salary, and wonder, maybe if I just asked for a raise, they would have given it to me. That's it. Or maybe you want a promotion. Maybe they didn't even know you wanted this other role. You got to put it out there and start being your biggest supporter, right? You got to advocate for yourself. That's the only way you move up the ladder when we're talking about your career. You got to advocate for yourself, or really in anything. So be your own best friend and tell yourself, just do it. The worst that's going to happen is what? No. Would you rather like look back at yourself when you're like 89 years old and be like, wow, I can't believe I was so scared to ask this person on a date or ask for that raise? No, that's honestly silly and it's sad if you think about it from that perspective. But in the moment, again, I understand it's scary, but we have to take that small step, right? Maybe you are aware that you are a people pleaser and you always say yes. So maybe instead of next time somebody asks you to hang out on the weekend or invites you to an event, maybe instead of immediately saying, yeah, sure, say something like, let me get back to you instead of immediately saying yes. Or, oh, like, let me double check my schedule. Come up with five different phrases that you can say so that you're not constantly saying yes. Say, like, oh, let me look at my schedule. Like, oh, I was really looking forward to actually having a weekend to myself. Do you know how many people like love that and respect that? Totally understood. Like, I feel you. I probably need a weekend to myself too. That's usually the response. Okay, then you'll get to a point where you just say like, "Oh, like thank you, but no thanks." Right? You don't have to be rude about this by any means. And if you prepare, if you identify like, "Oh, I always say yes, let me prepare for the next time." And I know this sounds a little dramatic, but if you are a people pleaser, right, it's very stressful, anxiety inducing because you're always wanting to say yes, you don't want to upset anybody. But the thing is, you're not going to upset anyone. And if they get upset, you can talk about it. But we got to take a small shift. Maybe you realize that you always sleep in. You always snooze your alarm, and your mornings are so rushed and chaotic, and you wish that you could just get up early, have a calm morning, and not snooze your alarm. So, what we need to do is, again, we need to prepare. Set your alarm and tell yourself, you know what, tomorrow I'm getting up. Maybe move your phone or your alarm clock somewhere else. And I know these are so common, these examples, but people aren't implementing them. They're so simple, but we're like, no, I want my phone right next to me. Okay, great. Then you'll probably continue to snooze. Either stop complaining about it or do something about it. That's the other thing. I hear so many people, and I used to do this too. We just complain, but we keep doing the same thing. So what did I do? I stopped complaining. And if I wanted to make a change, I started making a change. And that is exactly how I changed into the version that I am today. Okay, so back to this example of your mornings. Maybe you snooze it, right? So move your phone to the other side. Move it to another room. Maybe have an alarm clock and your phone somewhere else. So you make sure you actually get up. And if you set the intention the night before, it's gonna actually help you because as you're falling asleep, your subconscious mind is more suggestible to change. That's why they always say to listen to subliminals or affirmations while you sleep. I really want to start doing that. But that will actually help you get up in the morning. And then in the morning, maybe you can start telling yourself, okay, no, I have to get up. My future self would get out of bed right now. She wouldn't snooze. That motivates me like hell. I did that today because I wanted to sleep maybe a little more, lay in my bed a little bit more. And I thought, no, no, no. My high self does not lay in bed for 20 minutes. She gets up because I got things to do. And that's just who I am. So those are some things that you can start doing. Or maybe if it's very chaotic for you in the morning, do like a 60-second, like a 2-minute stretching session. Just like wake up, like arms overhead, do a little stretching, set an intention for the day. That is just a small shift. That's nothing major. I'm not telling you to set your alarm for 5 a.m. or 4 a.m., like 2 hours earlier than you usually do, and go for a 30-minute walk or do a workout, do a 10-minute journal session. No, I'm just saying get out of bed. Don't just lay there. Do a 2-minute stretching. Set an intention. Small shifts. That's the only way you're going to change. Okay? Mm. So, okay, the other thing I just wanted to note about this like live recording is I do use filler words and they've changed over the years, which is very interesting. But now I can't cut them out, so I really have to make sure I don't use those filler words, but I do have a few that I continue to repeat. And it's not even just to fill the space, it's also just something I say. So gonna work on that. Okay, let's keep going to the next point. Blame is also not a strategy. And this refers to the limiting beliefs. So maybe you become aware of where your programming came from, like your scarce mindset around money came from your family. Okay, it's very easy to blame them. I get that. But that's not fair, first of all, because no one's purposefully instilling these limiting beliefs to you as a child. No one in their right mind is coming up to a child and saying, Money doesn't grow on trees. We have to save, we have to do this. Like, no parent is going to go instill these beliefs so that they hope when their child is an adult, they don't have this abundant mindset. No, absolutely not. No one is doing this on purpose. So stop blaming, okay? Because no one is trying to hurt you, right? No parent, no teacher, no coach is actually trying to instill these limiting beliefs that everybody just wants you to do better. So cut the blame. And also, another thing is arguments. A lot of times when people argue or they're upset and annoyed, they want to blame the other person. And yes, sometimes totally somebody needs to take responsibility for a situation, but you cannot just blame them. For example, say you got into an argument with your partner in the morning and then your mood's shot. You can't blame them for your shitty day. You have the power and control to change your emotion. All right, you had a disagreement in the morning. Great. You're going to shift your energy. You're going to decide, you know what? I'm not letting this ruin my day because I control my emotions. I can shift my energy. And that's what I'm going to do. This feeling of being sad, being angry, being annoyed, frustrated, these low frequency emotions are not serving me whatsoever towards my goal. So I'm going to shift that. And then another point with the arguments is both parties have to choose to like want to resolve it, right? It has to be ownership. That somebody has to take ownership, preferably both sides. You have to take ownership for there's two people in an argument, in a disagreement, in a conflict. There's two parties involved. So both parties have to decide, you know what? I want to find a solution. I want to shift this energy. I want to, right? I don't want this to continue. Okay, it's not one person's job. I don't care whose fault it is. If you want a resolution, if you want to move the energy, if you want a better relationship, friendship, resolve that conflict, both parties. Be the bigger person. Who cares? I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm too prideful. And they're not going to admit that, right? It's pride. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. That person needs to apologize. Okay, fine. Maintain that energy. Is that energy going to serve you? No. But the people that are happy, that are like, you know what, let's fix this, that takes a lot. That is not easy to be that person, especially if maybe they didn't necessarily do anything wrong. But that's not easy to do. That is much, much harder to do than to just continue being negative and angry. Being angry and negative, that is so easy. That is the easy way out. But if you want to feel better, if you want to carry yourself and have a great day, carry yourself in that high vibe energy, I don't want to say be the bigger person because that's so cheesy, but choose what kind of solution you want. Choose how you want to feel and take the necessary action, right? Even if it's not your fault, it's your responsibility now what you're going to do next. So if you want to choose to go be pissy and angry at your friend or your partner or your family member, great, by all means. Is that serving you? Probably not, because now you're going to be all moody and you're not going to have a great day. So that's just a little tangent on the blame, guys, because we can't blame. And same with the parents. I know a lot of people have trauma from like their childhood and maybe not major trauma, but limiting beliefs, other blocks, other patterns, right? They don't believe in themselves. They don't think they're worthy enough because their parents were always saying, you can do better. Like, I know you can do better. Like, you deserve an A. I know you can do it. Why are you not studying more? Right? Whatever approach your parents took. And that's not their fault. They were just trying to make you better. All parents want is for you to be better. And maybe it doesn't always work out that way in the long term, but that's no one's fault. It's everybody's first time being alive, right? It's kind of comical, but think about it. Guys, we're all on this planet for the first time. Your parents are the parents for the first time. They're doing life for the first time. Your coaches, your teachers, your mentors, your friends, we're all doing life for the first time and we're figuring it out. And we're not trying to actively harm anybody or instill limiting beliefs or make them have all these fears and doubts. No, we're all just trying to be the best that we can. And sometimes, we get these blocks, we get these subconscious blocks and these patterns and these limiting beliefs. But now that you've identified it, it's your job to shift it. You figure it out, you take responsibility. And that's what I've been doing. I take responsibility for everything. At least I really do try. Every single thing, whether it's in my job, even if I think I'm doing a good job, if somebody says, hey, why didn't you do this? I take the responsibility. Or like, hey, this needs to be updated. I could be like, you update it. Or I say, you know what? I'm just going to do it because that's the energy. That's how I want to carry myself. And if my apartment's a mess, then it's my responsibility to clean it. That's it. I take full responsibility. And the more responsibility that you take in your life, in every single area, your fitness, your career, your cleanliness, right? Your organization, that's like a big one for me lately, or always actually. Take responsibility and take an action. You are aware that the apartment's messy. Great, clean it or hire somebody to clean it or get rid of your stuff. You're aware that your habits for eating and exercising haven't been great. Great, change it. Either stop filling your fridge with these foods that keep tempting you or like go eat healthier, go get a meal plan. There's so many different options, but you want to keep blaming the situation. You want to keep blaming outside the universe. Everything is your responsibility. Wow, I'm getting heated with this one, this point. All right, we're gonna move on because I got really intense with that one. But I hope you guys got that. There's no one to blame but yourself. And I don't like these cliche, like common phrases because I don't think they actually like get you to think about it because people say it so much. So I hope that explanation really got to you where it's like, hey, it's your decision to change. Okay. Now let's go to my next point. And here I'm going to actually share some steps. I know I've been sharing steps throughout this recording, but let's get clear on how to actually shift from awareness to actually taking aligned action. So first we identify the pattern or the belief. Great. Self-aware. Love it. Next, ask what your highest self, what would the most empowered version of you do instead? And then I want you to take the tiniest aligned action. So maybe journal about this. Grab a piece of paper and write down those first two things, and then figure out what are like 5 to 10 things that I can do to get there. So maybe with my example, right? Whenever I go away, it's tough for me to get back into the schedule. Okay, so now let's figure out maybe 2 or 3 things that I can do while traveling. Maybe I'm not doing my entire daily routine, but now let's do a few so that it's easier to get back in. That's one bullet. Maybe come Monday morning, I decide no matter what, I'm going for a walk. Great, that's another example. I'm going to journal or call a friend. I'm going to do one other mindset tool activity to get out of this. That's 3 bullet points, right? Keep doing that. Find the tiniest or the biggest action that you can take that you're actually going to do. You don't wait until you're fully ready because you're never going to be ready. And then I also want you to track this, track the shift, whether it's through journaling, whether it's through reflecting once a month or so. Maybe it's vlogging. Remember, I did a mindset reset challenge and I actually filmed every single day how I felt from the journal, the meditation twice a day, and all those things that I was doing. I'm so glad that I recorded every day how I felt because I could actually track the changes. And that's why I love that challenge that I did so much. So that's what I want you to do. And these are really going to help you get out of this spiral of being stuck where you are. So I guess another repeated phrase I want to say is you're not stuck. You're just pausing at this first step, right? Today's the day that you're going to move. You are aware of these patterns. If you're not, let's become aware of these patterns or these blocks, but don't overanalyze because you can do that. Overanalyzing is just going to cause you to self-sabotage, consciously self-sabotage. My new favorite little phrase. We're not overanalyzing. We identify a pattern, we identify a belief, and then we figure out, okay, what would I rather do next? What would my highest self do next? And that's what we're going to do. Right? So that's really all I wanted to say for today. It was quite a lot, I know. But the point is, awareness is not a free pass. Okay. We are not blaming. So it's just more of a summary of this episode. We're identifying patterns and we're taking an aligned action. And that is how we're actually going to shift. Otherwise, we're just going to continue this cycle using different words, and that's no fun. All right, so let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Let me know if you feel called out. I hope you do. Share this with somebody you think maybe needs to be more self-aware or needs to take that next step because they keep repeating it. And let me know what other topics you guys want to hear about because, again, I'm sharing for you. I'm sharing things that I've been doing. I'm sharing things that pop up that I hear a lot. But if there's something specific, I'm happy to go full on for like 30 minutes about it as well. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing what you have questions on. And that's also what I focus these episodes on if I ever see anything. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, make sure you are on my email list because I have some very exciting news, very exciting things that have been happening the last couple weeks or so that I've been working on. So you don't want to miss that. That's going to be in the show notes. And with that, I will talk to you guys next week. All right, bye.